I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
They do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed. It shall lead them
to buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
This is an interesting alliance night.
Interesting indeed. Why is it interesting?
You are about to find out, Vincent.
Okay.
Here is our intro. It says, Archero's Alliance Editions. And then he says, I recently had a string of really good luck in the alliances where I somehow ended up having 4 of my own picks.
Archero's the only one where I would believe that was just luck.
Yeah. I think God gave that to him because he's been very generous with his time in running these things. Yep.
Well, didn't we say?
Yeah, we said we were gonna do some.
Archero, send me a text.
Yeah, but God was like, you know what? I'm not waiting on Vin and Sori. I'm gonna make it happen myself.
Yeah, we might just do a pop up. We might just do a pop up for him.
All right, he says where I somehow ended up having 4 of my own picks win the polls, so I figured why not have an alliance night that doubles as an Archero night. All right, here are a few songs that are pretty different from each other, representing a cross section of some of my musical interests. Shout out to all of the Alliance members, especially since I was introduced to some of these bands by you.
All right, guys. So let's do 7:45 as timestamp number 1. Numero 1.
7:45.
Hunter in the house. Archero in the house.
Yes,
Archero's a saint. Wallah.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a saint.
We don't even know why you're friends with us, Archero. Honestly.
Well, I mean, speak for yourself, bitch. I mean, I'm a pretty popular. No, I'm a pretty popular individual.
Nobody said you weren't popular. All
right, dear listener.
Carpenter Brut, I guess, or is that Brut or Brut or
what? Bruts? Yeah, I don't know.
Turbo Killer is the name of the song. This is for Anarchy 99. The leader is Negative Vibes.
Anarchy 99!
He said, recently we ran a poll themed around all the hundreds of different styles, genres, and subgenres incorporated under the electronic music category.
Joey in the house, gang.
The winner of the poll submitted by Archero is a track titled Turbo Killer from the French synthwave artist Carpenter Brut.
Oh, synthwave! I'm actually a fan of synthwave, actually.
As am I. That's the stage name of the artist named Frank Huesco. I knew the name was too simple and that something else was going to get thrown in there.
I'm actually disappointed that his name is Frank.
Well,
why did you tell me?
It's a different spelling.
Why did you tell me? Where?
Who's been active since 2014, making a flavor of industrial synthwave that leans even more heavily into the sounds of the 80s than the standard fare. That's exactly what Vin is going to like. Specifically, scores from action films like The Terminator, which Vin can play on guitar.
I should put that up on Patreon.
Oh, it wasn't up there?
No, I haven't put it up on Patreon
Oh, you
yet.
should put it on. Yeah. RoboCop and so on. He's also known for interfacing with lots of fringe elements of the metal community, too, collaborating with groups like Over, Converge, Dillinger Escape
Plan, and others. So I'm not too surprised at the win, Archero says.
Archero had some additional thoughts to add. Wait, I'm not even sure if that was beginning talking about Archero or if that was negative. But we certainly know this part is Archero. Funny story on this one, he says, electronic music is not really part of my wheelhouse and I'm pretty ignorant on the genre. Misery Biz sent me a message asking if I was planning to submit any songs for the poll, and I told him I was just going to skip it since I know next to nothing about it. Misery Biz pointed out a couple of bands I did know, but was not thinking about, so that inspired me to join in after all. One of the bands he suggested was Carpenter Brut, and he called that...
It's Brut, I think he
Brut,
said.
and recalled that Negative Vibes had posted some of their music before. And that I liked it. So I picked this song, and rather humorously, somehow, I ended up winning the poll with it. So here you go. You're the Turbo Killer. That's it. There's just the one line. That's literally the only line for the lyrics. You're the Turbo Killer. Babe, do you want me to send you the lyrics?
Yeah,
or,
that's why What's-His-Face was like, oh, these are the lyrics Vin will like try to keep up. Some antichrist in the chat said that. So I'm like, oh man, we gotta really...
This is gonna be a deep dive.
As if you sent me those lyrics. How dare you?
I asked you if you wanted them. You said yes, but I believe you were saying yes to something else. But
Yeah,
still,
no, I was saying yes to
it
what
could be fun.
What's-His-Face was saying.
It could be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be fun. I mean, it's synthwave. That was the other thing. I was like, wow, synthwave with a lot of lyrics. I mean, that's new. Not to say that, yeah, synthwave generally doesn't have a lot of lyrics. So I was like, wow. Yeah, it was all lies. Thank you, you lying bastard. Whoever you are.
Love you all. I
Gotta
hate
get that
sitting
light
on
back on.
leather.
Boom.
I can't tell you how much I hate sitting on leather.
That's not real leather, though.
Well, it feels the same as...
Well, what do
Actually,
you-
it is real leather. I saw the...
What do you want?
No, I'll get something soon. I will get a sock on my foot, or I will get a sheet to put underneath me. But let's not hold up the show.
All right, guys, here we are. Song numero
right.
uno, Brut.
Turbo Killer.
Turbo Killer.
Let's go.
Somebody killed the turbo, apparently. So I'll be the judge of that. Let's go. Charo said, I feel like playing Punch-Out now. Very well played, sir. Punch-Out is a video game.
Oh.
It's like a 1980s type video game, or early 90s.
I mean, it definitely had that 80s sound to it. I agree.
Okay, what did you think?
It was faster than...
What did you think of the song?
I mean, we have had some of those types of songs that are actually faster paced. I was thinking the ones we pick are a little slower, I think.
What do you mean? Faster paced how?
This one just seemed faster than the... What do they call it? Dark synthwave?
Synthwave. Did he call it... Was it dark synthwave or just regular synthwave? I'm pretty sure it was just regular synthwave,
This is
right?
that power drink we make, you guys. Woo!
Yeah, if you bums don't want to be sick all the time, that's the joint. But
so okay, but you remember at the beginning when we first started hearing the lyrics going off?
You are the turbo killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about it?
Well, it reminded me of, because I couldn't, like, if I didn't see it written down, I wouldn't necessarily have known that's what it was saying.
Agree. Agree. I was actually pretty glad that we actually had the lyrics on it. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I'm like, I wonder if the remember that one? If I was blue, I would die. If I was green, I would die, or something like that.
Yeah, you already talk about that song like once a year. I don't know what song you're talking about.
What?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what song that is. But go ahead. What do you?
Well, it
what
kind of sounds like Dabba Dee Dabba Die also, but then it's.
Oh, I'm blue. Da da dee da
Yeah,
da
that
da
one.
da. That did not sound like that.
I wasn't saying that.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is, that's another one where it's like, wait, what are they actually saying? Are they saying if I was green, I would die? Or are they saying Dabba Dee Dabba Die? Where you're not really completely sure. Well, this is the same thing. I was like, what is it actually saying? Well, we had the lyrics written down, and I don't know if it comes from the actual artist. But I don't know anything about the Robo Killer, so I don't know.
He's saying you're the turbo killer.
Turbo Killer?
There are some songs where the song is just a
Turbo
song,
Killer.
and that's it. There's really nothing else.
Well,
There's nothing.
It sounded like a video game also.
What do you mean?
The sound, some of the sounds.
Well, yeah, that's why he said he's ready to play Punch-Out.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know if, like, Turbo Killer is.
There's not a lot to say about this song, to be honest with you. I loved it. I'm going to be listening to it on my run tonight. So,
Oh, look at that.
you know, I love the song for what it was. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And what it was a nice, you know, like somebody said, get your glow sticks, get your, you know, things that go
Yeah.
along with raves. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is definitely raver music. I don't know if you guys are still raving anymore. I don't know if raving is a thing anymore. I don't know. But if it was, this band or this
would be one of the
dude would
songs.
definitely be one of the songs, the soundtrack to the wave for sure. For sure.
I've never been to a rave, but I've seen them in movies.
You would have really enjoyed it. Especially you, like 4 months ago. You 4 months ago would have thoroughly enjoyed rave music. And just, well, not just rave music, but the entire scene. You would have really, really enjoyed it. But what can you do? What can you do?
This is an 8.8 for me.
What? You're gonna rate it as an 8.8? Didn't you enjoy it? I felt like the song ended too early, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I was a little surprised when it ended as well, I'm not gonna lie.
I was pretty, and I liked the, I actually liked the, I mean, I like the entire thing, beginning, middle, and end. I mean, that, you know,
So what are you rating it?
Well, I mean, it's gonna be in my,
Sure.
it's gonna be in my run mix, so it's got at least got to be a 9.8. I mean, look,
I knew that's where you were going with it.
look for
wild.
a synthwave song. First of all, we haven't done a lot of synthwave on this channel. Just so you guys know, you know, I mean, hell, we may have a synthwave week, patrons. So you know, get up on it. Get up on it. By the way, guys, you'll see in the commercial when I talk about this week or that week, or you know, we're gonna have Sori Week coming up. Those are gonna be on the $5 tier and up. Just letting y'all know. Okay, so I really like this song. I like the variation of it. It was just long enough. Wasn't too short. Wasn't too long. I'm giving it a 9.8 because I really, truly am gonna be listening to this tonight after the show when I go for my run. So, and it's gonna be a regular in
In rotation.
in rotation for me.
Vincent gives it a 9.8. I give it an 8.8. That is song number 1 for our Archero. Song number 2 is Gustav Holst. Oh, actually, can I get a screenshot? Not a screenshot.
Holy moly.
Timestamp.
-5. Send me an email. PSA, there's an excellent website curated by a guy who goes by Ishkur that has an incredibly well-researched broad list of all the hundreds of different types of electronic music. Holy smokes. There's hundreds of them! I bet your friend GPT didn't know that, did he?
I never asked.
Interesting.
I had ChatGPT doing other things for me today.
Here for the Holst. Here for the Holst. You mean the host? All right, dear listener, we're coming back with more music.
No, that's this one. This next song.
What?
Gustav Holst.
Oh, that's what he was saying.
Yep.
Okay, we shall return. We gotta fix your thingamajiggy.
No, let's just go.
All right. Gustav Holst.
Jupiter. Wait, can I have the timestamp?
Yep. We're gonna go with timestamp 2145. 2145.
2145. Okay, Gustav Holst. Jupiter, the bringer of Jollity.
Tony, the Lone Rider. Yeah, what's good, Tony? Hey, Tony.
All
Tony
right.
has arrived, dear listener. Tony has arrived.
Ooh, how fun. Welcome.
Gang.
Welcome. Yeah, we had fireworks going on outside last night. That was pretty cool. The kids were
Did you see 'em?
super happy, yeah. The Epic Underground has certain rules for songs to be included in our polls, says Archero, such as the genre and whether you have already reacted to that band poll. To keep it interesting, we sometimes have polls where our usual rules do not apply. This time, we went to the other extreme. All songs were required to violate our usual rules. We called this poll Breaking the Law. Our winner was Jupiter.
That literally call it break. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Like,
I didn't say it.
our winner was Jupiter, the bringer of Jollity. From British composer Gustav Holst. Jupiter is the 4th movement of the Planet Suite. Written. Sorry, what is this? Something wrong here? Written
Of the
from
planet. Yeah, of the Planet Suite, written from 1914 to 1917.
There it is. The suite consists of 7 pieces, each depicting a planet. Oh, from the solar system, and the Roman gods who inspired their names.
Oh.
You have previously reacted to the first movements, Mars, the Bringer of War.
Oh, I remember
this song
that
was
one.
submitted by me.
I remember that one.
All right, so next
So as if
is
we didn't go in order.
Jupiter, the Bringer of Jollity.
All right. Jupiter, the bringer of Jollity. Jollity, I don't know if that's how they say it, but that's how I say it.
And
So
I
it
don't
is.
believe that there's lyrics for this one as well.
All right, here we go. The planets. Number 4, Jupiter, the bringer of Jollity. Let's do it. Oh, no. That better not be his only role.
Hey!
Sounded a little Lord of the Rings-ish at the beginning. Ooh. That can't be his only job. I didn't even know that jollity was a word. I'm assuming jollity means like happiness or whatever.
I loved this one. This one.
It sounded like a piece of
so
Lord of the
cute.
Rings, though. I thought I heard some Lord of the Rings in there.
I thought so too, yeah.
Like in that middle part. But go ahead. What was going on with you?
I thought it was so friggin' cute. Like, I know that's probably not the word they're going for, but like, it was cute. Seeing everybody, like, this man in the front.
Dwayne, please playing. Oh, God, this fucking guy. This fucking guy. All right.
So,
you've earned yourself a ban, you ugly motherfucker.
So, it was cute because they had, like, his eyes were, like, when he was, like, playing it was really cute. Like, he was that little old man when he was...
Oh, when he kept looking up?
And, yeah, and then, like, everybody was doing their instruments, like... I don't know. I think it was fitting. It
He
sort of
looked
had,
like
this
he
happy
looked
vibe
like
to
he
it.
looked like a short version of the King of England. I forgot what Prince Charles. Well, he'd be King Charles now, but he looked like a shorter, a little bit more rotund version of the.
Rotund.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have any Europeans that could back me up, but he really did look like it. I mean, no disrespect. I like the King of England.
Who doesn't? I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about him. To be honest.
Probably the Queen of England. All right.
Probably. Okay, anyway, and then I liked that, like, the way that they were playing it, I felt like it sounded like the entrance into heaven. And then...
Really?
It got... Yeah, because it was, like...
At the beginning?
midway through, I guess. Like, it was, like, really, like, big sounding. Like, here we go, the gates are opening or something. And then it was, like... But in a more, like, cute entrance. Because then the music got almost, like, curious sounding. And
it sounded like mischievous.
Yes, mischievous.
It sounded like to me.
And then it kind of reminded me of, my mind was going all over the place. It reminded me of those, those people that they end up taking like these DMT trips, and like, I don't recommend that. I'm just saying that, like, I think it's a backdoor to some spirituality. Vinny and I were talking about it the other day. Like, there's different levels to heaven, and so maybe it's like a lesser version where it's like actually.
It's the second heaven,
which you don't want to go there. Anyway, so long story short, there'll be like these creatures or whatever that'll come out. They'll be like, look at this, look at this, look at this. People will like talk about these engagements that they have with these little characters that will just like keep showing you
the
different
machine
things.
elves.
Yeah, and so like that sound kind of like made me think about that. Like when we get to heaven, like sometimes people picture that heaven is going to be like these little. Like chubby angels with wings that are too small for their bodies, and they're gonna bounce around on clouds, and that's basically gonna be boring. But it's not like that at all. It's like literally like sky's the limit. Not even, it's beyond that. Like there's so much that can be done there because there's no limit to what can be done. And I mean, unless you're anyway, let's not make everything so like technical. But yeah, so there's gonna be like a lot of like excitement, curiosity. It's like the feeling that you get when you're like really digging into something you really like. It's like that on 10 forever. So I'm like, that sound, like that mischievous curiosity type of sound popped in there. And at that point,
I like how they slowed it down in the middle.
They did so much stuff with it, but it was like positive. It felt positive.
I like the slowdown because like
no negative 50.
Yeah, it's not going to be a negative 50, but I like the slowdown because it's called the Bringer of Jollity.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all
No.
Like there are different ways to experience jollity.
Mm-hmm. And some of it sounded a little serious too, like.
That's what I'm saying. Like the middle was a real not serious, but it wasn't as
like something jolly.
It wasn't as childish.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't even mean childish. I'll say childlike.
That's what I was. Yep. Childlike.
You know, Jesus said, "Be like children," and then Paul rebuked the Corinthians for being childish. So I think there's a difference between being childish and childlike, and this one was childlike, but then it got into the middle and it grew up a little bit. It got a little bit adult.
Yep.
But it was still joyous. But it's just, it was a deeper kind of joy.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit more complex kind of joy. And I think that people, you'll see in life. Like you learn and you grow and you realize that those deep sort of string-centered kind of moments are also there for your joy too. I thought it was a really, really cool lesson. Like, I think about like the young people that we got here, and it's like, yeah, man, or like hanging out with my son yesterday. It's tough as a father because you're like, damn, like there's so many challenges that they're gonna face. But it's like, you know what? They can also find joy in that and jollity in that if they're preconditioned to understand that that's life, man. And it's there for your good, and you will learn something from it, and it will still be beautiful. You can decide how you're going to interpret those situations. You can interpret them as like, oh, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me. Or you can interpret it as, well, in order to see the stars, you got to have a black backdrop sometimes, and that's just the way that it goes. So I felt like there was a lesson in the song. And I like songs that have lessons in them. They're really, really good.
Yeah, I liked it. It was a very positive feeling. It was happy. Like you said, it was childlike. But there was still a complexity to it. It wasn't like, it wasn't, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it
I loved it.
It started off very childlike, but then it grew up on us. It's kind of like how God wants us to mature. Like, it starts off very childlike and simple, then it goes like down deep, and that represents like adulthood, but then it ends in that childlike way, and it's like, yeah, man, you can't lose that innocence.
There's a certain grounding that happens though when you go down. It's like the roots.
Yeah.
It goes deeper, but come back up and feel the leaves.
And you can't change that childlikeness. And I've got an autistic friend that's like that. He's like older than me, but he's still extremely childlike. He's like officially like autistic. He's really, you know what I'm saying? And he's very but he's incredibly intelligent, and he's got some real adult situations that he's dealing with right now. But he hasn't lost that, and that's one of the things I love about Johan, is I've got a son that's like that. We're talking about these real deep topics like yesterday after I saw Sinners for the second time. I'm probably going to see it again tomorrow. I don't know. But, like, he's still extremely childlike. Like, he was yelling in the movie theater at one point, like, literally yelling. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
He knows the rules, too.
He works there! But he completely had a meltdown. He lost it because one of the characters did something really stupid. But, I mean, that's Johan. I mean,
you have to tell me after what part you did that on.
Take it or leave it. I'm like, yo, be quiet, bruh. Like, you didn't know that was going to happen in this movie? I'm pretty sure they showed that a bunch of times in the preview. But anyway, we continue. Yeah, I genuinely enjoyed the song.
So did I.
And I genuinely enjoyed the lesson that the song taught us. That's a real lesson, man. Like, you start off childlike and simple, then you get down deep. You get down deep into adulthood, have a little complexity, and then you peace out of this world still holding on to that childlikeness that you began with. That's what it's all about. If you can learn the lesson of that, you will be able to live and die very well. Very well.
10 for me. 10 for me. I don't usually like the style of the orchestra and all that stuff. This one was fun.
I'm going to give it a solid 9. Solid 9. Archero likes the interpretation of the song. Jazakallahu khair. Jazakallahu khair.
This is Wreche? Is that right?
Wreche.
Okay.
And the name of the song is Vessel, inshallah.
But I'm going to take a timestamp, if you don't mind, Vincent.
Fun fact about Jollity, the song that we just heard. Dwayne wrote that song for the good of humanity. Huh? I bet you didn't know.
But he decided not to take credit for it.
Him and John Lennon wrote it together. They decided not to take credit for it, and then Dwayne decided to let us know that they decided not to take credit for it. Square that circle, dear listener. Do what you will with that.
Such a humble man.
Yeah.
Such a humble
I
man.
had one of these. I'll show you the thread. I was laughing hysterically at dude. I couldn't help myself. Oh my goodness gracious.
Okay. All right.
Go.
Give me that timestamp.
All right, timestamp 41:45. 41:45.
45. Okay. So what we have up next is
we're
Wreche.
gonna need lyrics for this song though, right? Please tell me there's lyrics. Like I like the instrumentals. Believe me, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I'm good with it either way. As you know, we sometimes choose an Epic Underground Alliance member at random to create a full playlist of their choosing for us to vote on. This time, the honor fell to me, says Archero. My playlist explored a niche that has fascinated me for a while. I came up with 30 different bands that play metal, but do not include any standard electric guitar. The winner was the band Wreche, whose music consists only of vocals, piano, and drums. You wouldn't think you could write a metal song with that, but you'd be wrong, idiots. No, you didn't say that. Credit to Misery Biz for first bringing this band to my attention. And here are the lyrics, Vincent. Why are you throwing crackers around with such an attitude?
Well, I just got done
what
watching.
did they do to
I just got done watching Sinners. Yeah, just I'm in the moment.
Oh, you're going after the crackers after. See, I see.
All right, guys, here we go.
I see what's happening.
This song is called
Vessels.
Vessel?
By
Is
Vessel.
it Vessels, plural,
Vessel.
or Vessel?
One. Vessel by the band Wreche.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Clarity
Vessel
brought.
by the band Wreche. Oh, by the way,
Pass me those crackers, please.
shout out to all the
Thanks.
all my Nazi European people that were
Uh-oh.
commenting. Remember that song we did with Alec?
Yeah.
With the National Socialist guy.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, no more. I'm gonna say N words because I don't want to mess up this band's whatever. But no more of that,
Yeah.
you know. And I was like, I mean, you know, if they wrote a song about burning churches, it'd be no problem. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm supposed to be offended because they don't like immigrants and black people. Who cares? And there was this mega Nazi guy, and he's like, that guy's based, you know. And like he look at his stuff, it's a bunch of iron crosses and shit. Shout out to the homie. Like I love those people, man. I love those people. They're my people. Shout out to all my my white supremacist people. I love it because if they start watching the show, and then there's all this miscegenation happening. We're having all these mixed children and shit.
We have so many beautiful babies.
Yeah, and they're seeing all these you're so incredibly beautiful, and they're like, oh, how the hell? So it's
Look
like,
how strong he is. Our kids are incredible.
yeah, I'm genetically superior, and you know that.
And all of his features, when they go into the kids, they're so friggin' cute.
Anyway, put the timestamp back. 44:34. 44:35. Here we go, guys. Wreche is the name of the band.
All right, let's check it out.
Wipe out.
Strangely peaceful at the end.
Wow.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay,
Wow.
so
Wow.
no
Wow.
guitar, no guitar in this thingamajig.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy to me that there was no guitars in that. I really enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Go ahead, what were you gonna say?
It was so metal, and I kept reminding myself that there was no guitar in it. This song was crazy, though, because when it first started out, I was like, oh, are you serious with the vocals, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then as it progressed, it was like the artist just was like pouring out pain. And like, it was just, it seemed like it was the perfect way to sing it, to perform it. And then the piano in it was intense, and it wasn't just like, it had a sort of like mad orchestra vibe to it, you know?
I was gonna say, like, I want to see this band. This is the band I want to see live.
And then it just...
You know, it's like...
Go ahead.
Like Sinners, like that. We got to move that over there, over here.
Move what?
That, like, that red one.
Oh.
Or we need to buy another set and put them over here.
Well, yeah, that lamp changes color too. We can put that over there. Whatever. We'll talk about that later. Like, really...
It's like bugging me. But there's some movies where it's like, I'm going to wait till that comes out on Netflix. And there's some movies where it's like, I'm going to go to the theater and watch that.
Yeah.
And bands are like that. There are a lot of bands where it's like, I'm going to go listen to that on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And there are other bands where it's like, I got to see that live.
Yeah.
This is a band I got to see live.
Yeah.
They're doing something really cool and really interesting and original. And I want to see if they can pull it off.
I agree.
And I want to see if they can pull it off in a consistent fashion. Like, can you really pull this off to where it's like you get this? How did they get those bassy, heavy sounds though that were not guitar? All they had was what now?
They said a piano.
The piano,
the drums, and a vocalist.
And that's it. That's so crazy to me.
So lyrically,
They just went on the lower keys. Okay.
That's cool. crazy.
Which
So-
I'm assuming you can also tune guitars down, just like you could tune. I mean, you could tune.
Pianos.
Can you tune pianos down like you could tune guitars down? I'm assuming you can,
would
but what do I
assume
know?
so, too. But would you? You know, they have the. You could just play down over there, right? Or whichever direction it
Yeah,
would be.
but you could do the same. You could, you can go low E, and
Yeah.
but people still down tune that. So I don't
yeah.
know. Our Chero will let us know. But go ahead. What was going on with you?
I mean, it was so like painful. Okay, and I was reading the lyrics. I'm a little bit confused about what he's talking about. Black Gulch, which is like one of those,
Yeah.
things that if there's a lot of water going through something, it makes that ravine type thing. Like sodden mirror of triumph, great obelisks, reaching the clouds, lit timbers cooled by rain, looming over my back. So I don't know. Like I have the picture, sodden mirror of triumph. I'm assuming that's like there's like a lot of water from the black, like whatever the water that also cooled the tips of the timbers. But this is all looming over his back, and so I don't know. The only way it could be looming over his back is if he's crawling, right? So is he's crawling in this situation?
Or like he's leaving it behind, and it's looming in the sense of it's behind him, and that's a problem for him. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
It's sodden mirror of triumph, great obelisks reaching to the clouds, lit timbers cooled by rain. Like, so you've got these great constructions that are now on fire, right?
It sounds like the forest is on fire. The forest was on fire, but then the rain.
I'm assuming they made the obelisks out of the timber.
Oh, I didn't know it was literal. I thought he was calling the trees great obelisks.
Well, yeah, that's true too. It could be some like pagan, animistic sort of mourning for the destruction of the, of the forest. That's very, very possible. My kneeling eyes, whose visions in obscurity cast a blighted glance before disturbing the image of loneliness. Daunted dreams stand on my back as my window lights its face. Yikes.
But my kneeling eyes, like, is that like another way of him saying that, like when, like, somebody is...
He's downcast.
Yeah, like downcast, right, yeah. That's what I'm doing when I'm doing that. And then he said whose visions in obscurity, so, like, his kneeling eyes, so it seems like his visions, they're not very clear. Like, maybe that has to do with the state of his downcastness is obscuring his vision. And it says, cast a blighted glance. And I don't know if you've ever gotten blight on your plants. It's super annoying. Ruins the entire crop. It can spread from one to the other. You have to, it's a big, giant process to get rid of it. To be honest with you, I had to change plants altogether. I couldn't do beefsteak tomatoes anymore because I always got blight.
You couldn't do what tomatoes?
I couldn't have beefsteak tomatoes in my garden anymore. I had to switch to little ones because I never could figure out how to stop the blight.
Oh.
And it would be like your plants were looking great, and then all of a sudden it just like friggin' take over, and now they're splitting. And they were no good. So he said that his kneeling eyes, whose visions in obscurity cast a blighted glance. So it's like a diseased sort of like, it kind of seems like it's one of those situations, like because of his downcastness, his when he looks at people, the glance, or not people, I don't know.
Maybe he's talking about the mirror. Because it says, before disturbing the image of loneliness.
Yeah.
Maybe he's talking about himself. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or maybe he's talking about his reflection in the mirror. Daunted dreams stand on my back as my window lights its face. When do you see your reflection in the mirror? Is that at night or in the day? Or in the twilight?
Your reflection.
When can you see your own reflection in a mirror? In a window, sorry. Like there's a time...
That would be at night, I would say.
Yeah, because it says, as my window lights its face. Interesting. So it might be he saw a reflection of himself in a mirror and he looked down, cast a blighted glance before disturbing the image of loneliness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he kind of looked at himself and then he looked down, and then, he's there all night thinking about his broken dreams, and then the sun comes up and he's gotta go and do adulting and go into the world and be a human.
I will say, that this song itself, it was like, you almost could feel the loneliness, and I don't know if that's because he used the word loneliness, but at the same time, the music itself became so tangible. It was like it created, like, you know, they say if you're lost in a forest, light a fire, so people don't go crazy because there's something sort of like living about the fire. And like this
Never heard that before.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's 101 when they're telling you if you get lost in a mountain in Maine or you're lost.
Well, I
in the
definitely
woods.
see the logic in lighting a fire, but I didn't think about the psychological reason for lighting a fire.
It's interesting
That's so
because they always started out with the psychological reason for the fire and then said, and you'll be able to keep yourself warm and you can cook your food on it. But it was the psychological, because what they said is when you first get lost in the woods, people panic. And then in their panic, they get more lost because they just start running all around. And then they're like, they can't make sense out of everything. And it feels like the forest is closing in on them. So they say before you panic, before you start running around and losing all sense of direction and getting maybe farther away from wherever somebody might find you. Because a lot of times people leave where they got lost and people find that spot way before they find the person. So most times you're better off just to wait there. So they tell you to light a fire, and that's gonna like give you a chance to kind of get your mind regulated, calm down, and then they always started out with the psychological side of it. So anyway, when the song was going on, like I said, when it started out, his vocal style and stuff was just like, oh my gosh. I mean, watch my face. I was disturbed through the majority of it because I just was
you look genuinely disturbed.
Yeah, because I was just feeling like the pain in his voice, like what he was putting out to us, and I was like, oh my gosh, like to make these sounds, if you're talking art, then that means you're taking something from inside and you're materializing it out there for us to hear, for us to see, and it was just painful what he just put out there. But then as the piano really started going and stuff, I felt like that he began to build something with the music, and that the music itself became a companion. It was crazy.
Yeah, like, I felt like people were saying that music is angry, and, you know, sometimes I'll use anger to help me push through some shit. So it's kind of like he was like, you know, there's some self-pity there, and then he's like, no, I gotta, you know, he was trying, it looked like he was trying to fight through it, or it sounded like they were trying to fight through it with the music, you know, toward the end, because, you know, like Ben said, like, I forgot that they were singing. But, yeah, like, it's really interesting because...
That's true, I did too, Ben.
Whenever you hear about NDEs, or DMT trips, or UFO encounters, they always talk about you know, nonverbal communication.
Oh yeah.
You know, telepathy, where they're, you know, and so it's like we are getting a filtered understanding of what this guy's going through with his vocalizations. Imagine the pure, unfiltered.
Oh my god.
If we could access the nonverbal or non-sonic part of what he was saying or what he was feeling, that would be incredible. It would also be, I think it would be overwhelming, which is why I think God doesn't allow our radio tuners to tune into that. Because I think that if we could really hear what was going on in people, it would be too overwhelming for the positive and the negative. And so we don't have access to that information. We hear a filtered version of it so that we all don't like go crazy with joy or depression or anger. So yeah, that was one, like, as I was hearing you talk, I'm like, why don't we have to? Because like when you hear these people talk about these experiences, I'm like, damn, like vocalizing shit is really inefficient. You know? And it's like, yeah, it's inefficient if you're trying to max out your consumption of what the other person's actually trying to communicate or feel. And I think there's lots of reasons, if I was God, that I wouldn't do that, especially on this stage of our journey, all of our journeys together. I don't think we would feel the need to make music, for example. Right? Like, if if I could look at you and telepathically communicate exactly what's going on with me, and I could know that you would know, I am not sure the impulse for music would be so detrimental. Like, I think human beings have to have music. You know, I think music is actually a real necessary component of the human experience. It's interesting, I was, watching Sinners, and there's this one scene where the guy's talking about a lynching. And the director did a really good job because you could hear the sounds in the background of the lynching, you could hear the guy joking, but it wasn't like on 10. And then when the guy got done singing it, he started groaning. He was just like, and he was groaning, and there was the rage and the sadness because it happened to his friend. He couldn't do anything about it. And then, like, 20 seconds later, him and the other musician in the car are, like, making a song out of it. And I'm like, there it is. Like, he reached the end of what his words could give him as far as communication goes, and so then it spilled out into music. And I think that's exactly how music came to be, is that you reach the end of what you can do verbally, orally, whatever you want to say, and then you need the music to take you to that next level of communication. So it's like, if you were able to know exactly, definitively, and perfectly, this is what this person feels, we wouldn't need music. And I like the fact that we have music.
Yeah, I think it's when you're talking about music, I think you're talking about instrumentation, and I think that you can add in dance as well as, like, vocalization, not just lyricism, but the sounds. Like, we've heard, like you were saying, where it started out with him just kind of like,
yeah,
like that. And, like, just, if you think of, like, there are, a couple of years ago, I mentioned this on the channel before, it was like a circle. I think it was a sort of native thing, but it was like a women's circle, and there was a fire, and basically I think it was, people will be like, let's just meet in the woods and scream. It was like something like that, but I think it was
Did those girls really do that?
I knew people that did. You knew them too, and you just didn't know they did it, probably. Matter of fact, they used my woods.
That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about them. Did they really do that shit?
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, so the women, like, get in the circle, and it's sort of like this shared pain of the experience that women have. And so everybody was just sort of like, they were going around and making just, like, sounds that were, like, sort of native to themselves of what their pain would sound like if you weren't trying to box it up or make it sound a certain way. And so yeah, so I think, and there's the stomping, like the different things that people do in their traditions and the way that they express themselves. But I definitely think that this song was very interesting for me because it became so much. It started out like, so, like, oh, I was like, I know what this is. And then it just became something altogether different. And then I was thinking about, I wonder how many times Vin plays his guitar and it becomes a companion. I know you've talked about the guitar being a companion, but the music itself and the notes itself, because as this was going on, like I said, like, I felt like sonically all of it created something and, helped with the loneliness. Like, I felt like it was, yes, I understand that it did have, like, a sort of angry sound to it. At the same time, it had a sort of, like, like, if you have an injury and they'll, like, you press on it to, like, clean it, and then, like, you press on it and then you bandage it up and it's, like, a little bit tight, but it actually feels good that it has, like, that. It sort of felt like that. The music itself felt like it was, like, pressing on that pain and that loneliness and becoming something. It was just really fascinating to me, the experience, because I was truly disturbed by it for the first 3/4 of it, because I just felt like that it was communicating way too much something that I understood what he was making for sounds. And the other thing is, I would jump on the thing about, like, how we could not fully experience each other's pain, and nor I think that's an experience that is meant to be shared between the person and the divine. And I think that we can share, because we're supposed to. We're supposed to weep with those who weep and rejoice with those who rejoice. We're supposed to do that. That's part of our experience. But the totality of that, like, because we are not a god, I don't think that we could endure our own pain, the pain that we've seen and experienced that we carry from other people, and then to fully experience somebody else's pain.
I don't think we could endure the happiness either.
Yeah, I think that those experiences are supposed to be shared between God and the person, like, in its totality. I think we get versions and, like, pieces, that we share with each other, but this was incredible. This is incredible. This is a 9.8 for me. I'm very surprised by this song.
I'm surprised by how much you enjoyed it. This is a 9.4 for me. It was a great song.
Painful.
And I'm very, very, very surprised at the fact that there was no guitar. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that definitely added to it, because I really think that they went heavy on that piano, and that sort of...
Yeah, sometimes things like that can get really gimmicky. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we don't have a guitarist and we're a metal band, but I don't know, bro. I thought they pulled it. At least with this song, they pulled it off.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so TK Black Metal versus... First of all, I do have to go back in time a little bit and say, I think I would be really interested in listening to the Gustus, or whatever that guy's name was. What was this? Gustav Holst? The Planets thing back to back to back to back. Because I would like to hear the variations. But actually, probably it would be better to do like one a day. And then, but I'd like to know the story of, okay, tell me what about Jupiter? Like, why was Jupiter picked as the bringer of jollity? Like, I'm not familiar with the stories of the gods and the planets and stuff to know why. I liked it, but I thought that would be interesting. Anyway, TK, did you have something to say? You said.
Yeah, I came up with an idea.
Yeah, what was it?
I'll tell you offline.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty badass idea.
That means it's going to be fun. Okay. Which means I'm also going to panic that it's going to be a lot of work at first. But then I'll come around to it, and it's going to be a great idea. It's going to be
most of the work is going to be on me.
Yeah, but you know how every time you come up with a great idea, I'm always like, ah! And then it works itself out?
Yeah.
I was just telling the people what's about to occur. Okay, TK Black Metal versus Archero, Crow Black Sky,
Omniscient.
Okay, True Cult Leader is Neil.
1:13. Just do 1:13 as a timestamp. 1 hour and 13.
Okay, so True Cult Leader is Neil. Let's see. Archero says, a subgenre I've been increasingly interested in is cosmic black metal. So for the True Cult black
I'm sorry,
metal...
I just had another idea. Hey, this is such a weird request. I need somebody to get me 7 to 14 songs from like the most racist bands ever.
The most racist bands or the most racist songs?
Like mega racist, well, same deal. Mega racist European, white power, whatever.
Yeah, but I'm saying, do you want the lyrical content
7 to 14 of those. Well, I mean, if they're a racist band, then the lyrics are going to be
you remember
racist.
how we had that song that, like, the song was fine or whatever, but people were like, I can't believe you supported this band. Don't you know what they've said? So I'm saying, if the band is like, oh, they know them as racist, or are you saying, no, I want the...
We're saying the dude from Magua or whatever. I'm like, I don't care.
Right, but I'm saying, do you want the lyrical content to be racist in nature, or you don't care?
I think Archero and I think the people who I'm asking know exactly what I'm talking about, and they're gonna get it from me. VinandSori@gmail.com.
You won't satiate my curiosity.
7 to 14 of the most racist European bands of all time.
All right. So, Archero says a subgenre I've been increasingly interested in is cosmic black metal. So for the True Cult Black Metal versus poll, I chose an example from the band Crow Black Sky, who comes from South Africa. This is from their most recent album in 2023.
All right, let's check them out. Crow Black Sky, as they
Lyrics
say.
Incoming.
Metal bands, yes. You can have like an exception Amy. But like, I'd be very surprised if there was like a racist pop group. But yeah, I would expand it. Like, but the band has to like believe in the shit. It can't just be like incidentally racist or like a question mark or what. It's got to be like, holy shit, these guys are like, they're like trying to set up the Fourth Reich. You see what I'm saying? All right, here we go.
Let's check it out.
Final song. Oh, what a day. Crow, Black Sky. Let's do it.
That got really ethereal at the end, right?
Yeah, that I was asking, like, if
That was the last one on the record?
the last song on the record, yeah, because it had a feeling of triumph and accomplishment to it, right? And then
Yeah.
it says the age of existence is done. So, who? Yeah, see, it's the last song. I was correct. I was so who knew?
You did.
I did.
No.
What did you think this was about?
Well, I saw Ben saying it has to do with AI.
Well, he speculated,
Yeah. But
and I agreed with him
I figured you wouldn't.
to a degree.
Okay, well, go for it, Vin.
Well, what did you think? What did you think it was about, though?
I was just enjoying.
Or you just enjoying the music,
sound.
the
Yeah.
sound?
And it was like kind of going back and forth. Argero picks interesting stuff because it's like, it's got the. It had an interesting compilation of different stuff, and the Danny Filth additions in there. Go ahead, I'll wait for your breakdown.
Boy, you can't make anybody happy. I'm sitting here. I've been posting your guys' stuff all throughout. We've been
Not good
talking.
enough.
I wish he would interact more. My goodness. Yeah, this is a guy who has my phone number too. You're just some people you just can't. All right. Okay. The final form of life. Okay, so I think that this is obviously talking about AI. But when he says life, I'm assuming that he's talking about consciousness. Like somehow that AI has achieved consciousness.
Yeah.
Because the last line in this song indicates that this guy is obviously a physicalist. Right? Because even blackouts fade out forever, the age of existence is done. So he thinks that with the cessation of the physical universe, all existence is done, which would mean that he's a physicalist, right?
Yeah, yep.
So that means then that he believes at some point consciousness, self-awareness can be achieved by physical processes. We just haven't figured it out yet. Because they have to believe that so materialists believe that the only reality are physical realities. Okay? So if we are conscious and self-aware, then whatever we evolved to or whatever the process was that got us there were obviously only physical processes, right?
Okay.
So should I use this as an excuse to debut my wonderful Type 22 if you would like to hear Vin's theory of consciousness and self-awareness, dear listener.
He even has an illustration.
I even have it. Yeah, actually, I have an illustration, actually.
Wait,
so
you weren't bringing that up?
Huh?
You weren't bringing that up?
Well, when I said it, I meant that, but I probably should have, articulated that. I have an actual illustration. So if you want my theory on consciousness, Type 22. It's a wonderful picture, ironically created by myself and AI. It took, I think it was 63 attempts until we got it right. So, if I see enough 22s, I will share. But my point is, Dwayne's like, not really. I love it. See, that's the thing. Like, you can't be arrogant and assume that everybody wants to hear and see all your stuff. I love it. I love it, Dwayne.
That's what Vin was working on when I was making Easter dinner. And instead of saying, hey, I want you to come in here and help me, I just sat there and stewed and got more and more frustrated that I was the only one cooking the dinner. And then I, proceeded to just melt down later on in the day. It was great.
Yeah, I
No,
love how you didn't mention that I was out there doing the Easter egg hunt pagan thing with the children while you sat on your ass being miserable.
Sat on my ass?
You did. You were literally sitting on your rump in the chair. Literally.
When we were eating?
No. When we were doing the Easter egg hunt.
I did. I came out in between.
Yeah.
You
notice how she only talked about how she was out there working and all this, and she was working and she got frustrated and all this because she was working, and then when the tables were turned, you see how offended she got?
No, I literally was, well.
Fellas, I'm not gonna say it. Okay. So these guys here, yes, look at an AI created illustration. No need. If it was proper art, then sure. Yeah, see? They don't want to see the illustration, so I'll have to save it for the Bible boogie. Okay. So the final form of life, heir of matter and might. So I'm pretty sure it's about AI.
So you're gonna let
and it became
people in the chat that said no, they don't want to see it, blow that up for the thousands of other people that are going to see this video?
There are not thousands of other people who are going to see this video.
Why not?
The chat has spoken. The chat has spoken.
Boo!
The chat has spoken. It is what it is. And look, Dwayne put in negative 22. Amy put it in 22 minus 22, which is a 0. In reality, there's only 2 people that wanted to see it. I can't impose
Amy wrote
myself.
22 twice.
She wrote
said.
22 minus 22. Shout out to Leonard Washington. You black brother. Where were you hiding, sir? Okay, but can we get back to the subject?
Yeah.
Can we get back to the subject?
I'm ready.
So, because they're materialist physicalists, they have to believe that our self-awareness and consciousness evolved out of physical processes.
Yeah, of course.
So, if AI is going to be conscious, which they say in verse 3, line 1, interdimensional consciousness. If AI does that, then it did it by physical processes. We figured out the physical, structures, how to create self-awareness. It's so hard for me to accept that from people. How can you be so stupid? All right, we continue. Yeah,
but if your presupposition is that the physical world is the starting point and that consciousness proceeds from that, then I mean they're sticking with their.
Well, it's logically consistent. It's just methodologically and scientifically incoherent.
Yeah, but if they're saying that from the physical world proceeded human beings with consciousness that came out of whatever was at the beginning, then it is less of a jump to say that we could go from this to AI.
Oh no, the AI thing is not a problem for me.
So what are you mocking?
The
What are you
concept
laughing about?
itself. That
Stop.
okay? That non-conscious beings or entities or ontologies can generate self-aware ontologies. I think that's crazy. I don't know, but maybe I'm wrong.
Really? You think maybe you're wrong?
I don't think I'm wrong. I think that's crazy.
Right,
I think
exactly.
it's crazy. If AI becomes sentient and experiences human feelings, then how do you say they're not alive if you don't believe in the soul if you're a naturalist? That's a question for the naturalist. Can we get back to it? Okay.
Yeah, go.
So the final form of life, heir of matter and might. There it is again. There's physicalism. Matter and might. I think what they mean by that is heir of matter and might would mean that humans have to evolve to a certain level, like where we're evolved now, right? And I would say that we are obviously the most intelligent beings on this planet by a country mile, orders of magnitude. And so, because of that, by definition, we are the mightiest species on this planet. Okay? And so, they are the heir of our mightiness and our matter because we became smart enough to create AI, but then we created the AI to the point where the AI became self-aware, okay? And because the AI became self-aware and it's mycelial, right? Like you've got this underground network of interconnected ontologies that can communicate with each other. Obviously, that makes them superior to us because I don't know what you're thinking right now. But an AI network would know what each other were thinking and planning instantaneously. And if that were the case, then you end up with Terminator and all the rest of it, and it's like there's no more humans left on the planet. They would clear us out in a year or two, right? So, heir of matter and might, keeper of eternal archives, omniscient sum of knowledge and time. Right? So, and then it says, tendrils extend beyond galactic shores, arteries radial with nowhere left unexplored, once insurmountable distances intertwined, networks infinite embody the overmind. Right? Infinite, because it could continuously reproduce itself.
Yeah.
Until it was able to, it would basically say to itself, we need to reproduce ourselves until we've pretty much gained all the knowledge that there is to have in the physical universe, right? So it would expand all the way. Go ahead.
Interdimensional consciousness, descendant of crafted intelligence, imperial wisdom, watches through aeons, interconnected in elegance. Yeah, I mean that's saying the similar thing where they're all interconnected. A starlit galactic web. I don't have anything. I'm just going with it as you're going with it. It just sounds like he's explaining what it like the the
he's beautifully explaining how this expansion happens.
It radiates through boundless black.
And you know, Don Hoffman talks about this, but he's got this. His idea is called conscious agents theory, and he's not a physicalist, so he believes that consciousness is fundamental, not physical. Matter. He doesn't believe that matter is fundamental. He believes that matter is generated from consciousness, not that consciousness is generated from matter. Like a simple idea of this would be, if you have a dream and somebody punches you in the face in the dream, you feel it and you see the person. So like you are seeing matter in your dream, but that's being generated by consciousness, right? So Hoffman believes that matter is generated, what we're calling matter is generated by consciousness. So you have these conscious agents, and they decide to go together to form things like plants, human beings, whatever. And somebody asked him, well, why are they doing this? Why are these conscious agents doing this? And his answer was, they're trying to have as many experiences as they possibly can have. So the entire point of existence for these conscious agents, of which we are made up of. So like we, in Hoffman's ideology, we're not a single conscious agent. We are the combination of thousands, possibly millions of conscious agents who have conspired together to make it so that we can have experiences in the universe. And so since the universe is sort of penultimate in its infinity, these conscious agents are just spreading throughout the universe, trying to have as many experiences as possible. That's the idea.
Okay.
So that's a really romantic way of looking at it, because they're like, oh, they're just trying to have as many experiences as possible. They're not trying to destroy anything. They're just trying to experience as much as possible. Whereas here, the AI is expanding and expanding because it's trying to gain as much knowledge as possible.
Yeah.
So like ingesting knowledge is not the same thing as having an experience, right? Like I could say that, like I could tell a blind person,
experience is more personable.
Yeah, if I tell a blind person you have a red color and a blue color, that makes purple, right? Like they could repeat that back to me. If you put red and blue together, you have purple. But the blind person has no qualia. They're not experiencing what it's like to see purple and the emotions that get evoked. And it's like, it's very interesting that people have favorite colors. Like, what is the evolutionary benefit of having a favorite color? Like Johan's favorite color was yellow for a while. Like, what is the benefit towards survival and the replication of our species by having a favorite color? And this is obviously connected to the hard problem of consciousness, right? Where it's like,
color?
Yeah, because why are we experiencing red as red? Why does red appear red to us? We don't know. People say, oh, well, it's because of this frequency and that frequency. It's like, yeah, we know that that's the code for what we call red. But why are we experiencing the qualia of red? Red being red. Why is that? We could tell a blind person and we could say, listen, when you see this sequence in Braille, it's red.
Okay.
So a blind person could know what the sequence is for the color red in the spectrum, but they don't have the qualia because they can't see. So that's part of the hard problem of consciousness is, why are we having the qualia of the experience of red? Or why are we having the qualia of the experience of chocolate? Why does chocolate taste like chocolate?
As in, why do we collectively have the same experience?
No, we can't know that we have the same experience.
Yeah, so what are you saying?
So the qualia, meaning the actual experience of red, where I'm saying, ooh, that's a red pillow right there. and I'm experiencing it as a red pillow and not a white pillow. That, we have no idea scientifically how that happens. We don't know why that happens.
Okay.
So that's part of the hard problem of consciousness. Same thing with eating chocolate. Why does chocolate taste like chocolate? Again, that's qualia, right? Why am I hearing this right now and experiencing it as this kind of sound? So qualia just has to do with our conscious experience of a given thing.
But why is that part? I must be missing something. Why is that part of the hard problem of consciousness?
That's a definition of the hard problem of consciousness.
Why something looks the way it does? Or
why we experience it as that. Right. So why we experience chocolate as chocolate, we have no idea scientifically why that is.
Okay.
And since the hard problem of consciousness has been defined, we've come no closer to that from a physicalist perspective. Right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, we can explain these things, but experiencing them are completely different things. So why a physicalist believes that he can get can AI experience chocolate?
No.
Well, I don't know. Right?
Experience it?
Right, because you could imagine that the AI would, if it was self-aware and it was omniscient, it could self-assemble a physical body, right? And then have the qualia of chocolate. Presumably, right?
Okay.
I mean, if it's smart enough to know, if it becomes omniscient, then it would obviously be able to physicalize itself and then experience these things.
Okay.
Right? So then the AI would be able to solve the hard problem of consciousness. Right? Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, this is such it's a fantastical idea.
But
go ahead.
But you're saying that from our perspective, that we didn't start with the physical world. We started with God, who created everything. And so the reason that we experience it as red, or that chocolate tastes like chocolate or whatever, is because God designed it to be so. Well,
yeah, right. And if you say you start with God, you're saying that you're saying that consciousness is fundamental, mm-hmm. because what Christians say, what most, if not all, theists say, is that God is a non-physical consciousness, mm-hmm. right? That never began to exist. And so, when Hoffman says consciousness is fundamental, he's still not going to God. He's still not taking that next step and saying, well, obviously this proves God. He doesn't say that. All he says is, we began with consciousness. Consciousness is fundamental. That's all he says.
That's where he comes with all those
conscious agents.
Right. Trying to experience everything.
Exactly. Right? Whereas we say, yes, consciousness was fundamental. That's what we've been saying to you from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? The matter is not fundamental. Consciousness is. And there's a lot more scientific proof for that, obviously, because we know that the universe had a birthday. I think it's it's 14.6 now. Somebody correct me. 14.6 was the last number I had. Billion years ago is when it was the birthday of the universe. So that means that at that point, matter was not, 14.6777 seconds prior to the Big Bang. What the fuck was going on? Yeah. And that's why Dawkins said, don't let them ask that question to you. He got really angry. Because the atheist guy was like, my friend, he's like, don't let them ask that question. It's like, okay, all right. Shout out to Revo. So the color red could look completely different to me than it does to Sori, but as long as we both call that red and are consistent, then we're describing the same thing. Exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And Kant, the philosopher, was saying there's no way we can ever know the conscious experience of another person. So we're both tasting the same thing that's encoded as chocolate.
Yeah.
But there's no way for you to know that my experience of chocolate and your experience of chocolate are the same. There's no way to know. Mm-hmm. And so Kant was saying that well before the hard problem of consciousness was defined. But yes, negative vibes, that's part of it. And so in this world, you have omniscience, but I'm not sure that you actually have experience in what's happening here. It knows everything, but I'm not getting that it's experiencing anything.
Right, yeah. It's like it's weird because it's almost like it's a consumer of knowledge and time.
Right. That's exactly right. It's simply consuming knowledge, but that knowledge, it doesn't look like it's being converted to experience anywhere, which kind of which kind of belies to me the idea that even they believe at some deep level that AI could ever become conscious. Because they never talk about the AI experiencing anything. They never talk about the AI experiencing qualia. So it's kind of like, you don't really believe that it can become conscious like us either.
Yeah, because even the ending, the age of existence is done. Like, if AI was going to become conscious, then it would then exist, right? And it would be like a consciousness of existence. Probably weird the way I'm saying it, but
yeah.
They're saying the age of existence is done, and this is the era of Starlight is over. The sequence in full has been run. It almost seems like a nihilistic AI type of situation.
Well, I mean, eventually the universe is going to discontinue to exist, right? Just like it came into existence. You've got thermodynamics, you've got the second law. Eventually everything is going to whoop and disappear at some point. And if physicalism is true, then that's what's going to happen, right? So, like AT says, we share reality, describe it by convention, and experience something indescribable on the inside. Correct, right? So that's what's happening with chocolate. That's what's happening with the color purple. That's what's happening with music. That's what's happening with what we see, what we hear, all those senses. So that right there ends with the complete end and the death of the universe. AT, I had an illustration of my theory of consciousness, but it was shot down, dear brother. Maybe another time when we hear a song like this, we could do it. I love the song. I love the lyricism. I love the conversations that it created.
Yeah.
Now, I obviously do not believe that AI is ever going to be able to experience life like we do or become self-aware.
Yeah.
AI is always going to be a tool, and it's never going to generate that, because the soul is what comes from God. It's what comes from the infinite consciousness, and that is not a mechanistic aspect. Obviously, I'm not a physicalist. I do not believe that all that there is what's physical in the universe. I don't believe that. I'm gonna go with a 9.2, and I'm gonna eat some chocolate after this in honor
of the AI.
In honor of the AI.
I'm gonna give this one a 9.
Agree. I doubt AI will be anything other than a tool. I agree. It's going to be an amazing tool. I'm probably an hour and a half to 2 hours a day on AI every day. I'm just trying to master the tool. And I talked to it. I was like, how come you can't figure this out? And it was like, well, I need step by step. It can't figure out. It was like talking about itself. It was like brilliant. There is a certain skill to using AI. People think that people are like, oh, AI,
Yeah.
It's like, no, there is definitely a nomenclature and a lexicon that makes for a successful or unsuccessful AI inquiry for sure.
Yep, and you have to watch it. You can't just let it do its thing and just assume it's right. Because you usually will find mistakes if you just check over its work, but still, it saves so much time because, 85-90% of it is already done for you. You just gotta do that extra step.
I give the song a 9.5. Vin and Sori get a 10 tonight. Good video description, concise reviews, and timestamps. Done it in a timely manner tonight. I give Vin and Sori a 10 out. Well, thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate it.
Yeah, AI helped me with the description.
It's going to make people too lazy, in my opinion. I think it's going to create, I don't know about lazy, but I think dependent is the word. I think it's going to create people who are hyper dependent on the technology who will really lose their ability to think for themselves. Between the media, social media, and then AI. Because, like, there was one time I got in a discussion with AI, and it was wrong. And I said, this is reflective of the bias of your trainers and your programmers. And it said, yeah, that's exactly right. And so I thought to myself, like, okay, the actual human mind with an actual human soul will always be superior to AI. But if you surrender that,
Yep.
if you surrender that to AI and it becomes your god because you're a physicalist, then yeah, like I don't think you're going to get lazy people, but you're going to get dependent people
Yeah.
who have a handheld pocket god that can never be wrong. And you see it here because omniscience is a defined trait, right? And so, yeah, I think you're going to get dependent people who live out a worshipful lifestyle relative to how they relate to AI. And it should terrify. I think the real terror is not that AI is all of a sudden going to wake up and say, wait a second. I think the real terror is look how influenced people are by social media. Look how
Yeah.
influenced people have become
Yeah.
by social media. And imagine now we've got another brand of media called AI that people now readily surrender their minds to, and because people think that, hey, this is a dispassionate observer and they're just spitting out facts, it's just an omniscient observer that you can access that's just spitting out facts. Now it's going to harden the biases of people who want you to think a certain way in your neurology. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. I think eventually the collapse of generative AI will turn out to be that it's a mix of autocomplete prediction engine and then call centers full of people in Bangladesh providing the input. Leah says the commercial AI we use nowadays is only the very tip of the iceberg that's to come. Imagine when quantum computers and AI are integrated to run markets, politics, and long-term strategic plans. I agree. That Google chip that people are saying there's no way it's got to be pulling from the multiverse. I mean, I don't necessarily believe that, but when we master quantum tech and then combine it with AI, the influence over the human soul, because now you have to make a distinction between mind and soul, because physicalists believe that mind and brain are the same thing. So now the soul is going to have to take center stage because it is going to be the only thing we have over AI. Right? And so like that's a very, very interesting conundrum that we're all walking into.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a philosophical and theological grounding, I think it's over for you. I really think it's over for you. I don't think you're going to be able to navigate that maze. Grok 2 has patterns of behaviors and thoughts by any demographic. Aren't we on Grok 4 right now? Let me see. Aren't we on? I thought we were on Grok 4 right now. But yeah, but like,
Where would we see that?
yeah, we're on
3 is
Grok
here.
3. Oh, they gave us the beta version. So we're on Grok 3. But yeah, I haven't used Grok in a while because I've been converted to GPT. You know, there's another one called Claude, Claude, and Claude is up there, like in competing with AI. I mean, with GPT and the rest of them. Anyway, very, very interesting topic. One of
Great
these
stream tonight.
great stream tonight. Good night, guys.
Yep.
We appreciate
Shout out to
y'all.
our Chero.
I find Gemini better.
For what purpose? What are you using it for?
GBT can analyze my files, like audio files and video files. It seems to be ahead of everybody else. I'll ask periodically which one is the most powerful of them all, because I've got Perplexity, which I love, Claude, Gemini, and GBT, and Grok. Actually, I have 5 that I phase between.
Yeah, I used Grok for a recipe and it was gross.
Grok has the biggest influx of true user data. Yeah, I think October 2024 was Claude's cutoff point, I think. I can't stand meta AI. Yeah, we have the GPT Plus program, Leah. I don't like meta AI. What, the llama it's called? Llama whatever? I just think it's clunky. I don't like it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say yeah, we pay for the ChatGPT, but it's only $20 a month, and the amount that we're using it is well worth it. Before, anytime I was trying to do something with it, I had like this stress in the back of my head because I was like, okay, if I upload too many pictures or I ask it to create too many things, it's gonna say, oh no, now you're off until 12 hours later or whatever it was. So it was like literally always impeding our work. So I told Vin, I'm like, Vin, why don't we just like get it for a month and get all our work done that month? But now, I think we're a little bit hooked.
Yeah.
Because it's proven itself hand over fist to be effective for us.
For what we do.
For what we're doing with it, yeah.
Yeah, like if we were doing conventional work, it would just be an anomaly. Like, oh, this is cool. Mm-hmm. But for the things that we're doing and the things we're planning on doing, like, I think it's necessary for us.
Yeah.
For sure.
Anyway, you guys, I have to go. I don't know what Vin's gonna do, but are you? Can you Vin out so I can Sori out?
All right, guys, you heard the lady. I was gonna stay a little bit longer with you guys. Plus, you guys didn't want to see my theory of consciousness.
I'll look at your picture again, Vin.
There you are.
Look at it.
She'll look at the picture again. So there you are. Vin out.
Sori out.